What did you guys go out? Welcome back. How you doing today? How's it going? Let me know how you feeling, how things been going for you in the comments. I just want to check in with you guys. Sometimes I'm just like shocked about all that's going on in the sense of like, I can't believe I'm living through this. You know, it's a blessing to be alive for sure, but I'm like, who would have thought? Anyway, so in this video, I asked you guys to leave me questions. I wanted to do a Q&A. I really wanted to do like a read twist with me Q&A kind of thing, but feel free to leave your questions or topics or anything that you want me to touch on or discuss in the comment section down below. This one actually comes from Traci. Thank you, Traci, for submitting your topics and questions, and good luck in nursing school. Some of these questions may have to be split up into different videos. We shall see how this one goes, but this one, she asked, what was it like being a nurse in the pandemic? Did I enjoy nursing? Did I experience burnout? Those kind of things. So I want to discuss some of those topics here now. And yeah, so if you didn't know, I'm a registered nurse, y'all. So I want to touch on her questions. I think I might do a video later about like my nursing journey. If that's something that would interest you at all, or if you're just curious, let me know in the comment section down there as well. But I wanted to touch on this pandemic question, especially because there are a lot of nurses in nursing school or people thinking about going to nursing, especially with a nurse shortage. And there's a pandemic going on, so who better to hear than from the horse's mouth? Like, how's it really happening? Like, what's happening for real? So yeah, so I kind of have notes, but not really. So hopefully this is not too all over the place, but just go ahead, get a snack, get yourself something to drink, get comfortable. And yeah, so if you're just curious about the nursing world, or if you're about to be a nurse, this video might be for you. Where to start? Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of background. I won't spend too much time on it. Like I said, if you want more detail, just leave me a comment down below. I got some stories too. If you want to hear those, leave that down below. Essentially, long story short, I'll take it all the way back to high school, just real quick. So in senior year, I decided, what profession was I interested in to shadow. I picked pharmacy. I don't know. We had a nice pharmacist, thought it was cool. I don't know. I don't really thought about what I wanted to do for the next until I'm retired. Like, I don't know who thought that really in high school. I know I didn't. I want to go shadow. Maybe I want to go shadow an engineer, different types of engineers, or welding, or anything, like an actual shadow day. That would have been helpful. But anyways, I picked pharmacy, went to one of the top pharmacy schools in my state. I actually became a pharmacy tech at the end of my mentor shadow situation. Long story short, it wasn't for me. I decided I might want to become a nurse. So I was like, let me become a CNA first. And if I can handle this, then I will continue. I will go ahead and change my major. So for some reason, becoming a CNA and having one of the hardest and toughest jobs, mind you, let me tell you this. When and if you become a nurse, whoever's watching, respect your CNAs. Respect the people you work with. Like, help your CNAs. Like, that would really piss me off when a nurse would just think she's too good to help a CNA. Like, please stop it. Like, I don't know what's going on now with the pandemic like that. As far as that goes, I think it goes from nurse to nurse, but because I was a CNA first, I knew how tough that job was. So I just always rather work as a team than like, no, I'm too good to wipe butt, or whatever the thought is. Please, whoever needs to hear this, help your CNAs and make sure your CNAs help you as well, but it's a team effort. Anyways, so I became a CNA. I worked in nursing homes, assisted livings. I probably worked as a CNA for 2 years, and then I got into LPN school. So I became a nurse in 2015. That's when I passed my LPN boards, and then I became an RN in 2018, February of 2018. I became an RN, yes. And then that year, because I was an ASN, Associate Science of Nursing, then I became a BSN, and back in 2015, February of 2015, when I became an LPN, I worked at a pediatric hospital, and it wasn't until I got my BSN and around February 2019 is when I transitioned and decided to work with adults in the ICU step down. So that's where I was. That's my specialty I was in when the pandemic started to happen. So I just wanted to kind of catch you guys up to speed, because I don't think I ever talked about this. But like I said, if you want to hear stories, because I have stories, y'all. Lord, every nurse got their stories. A little bit before the pandemic happened, I felt like we're kind of getting short. Like, they start running us with less nurses, and I'm just like, this is not safe. I don't like this. You know, your shift is harder just having that one extra patient. Mind you, each patient comes with his own primary or other hospitalists. Like, you know, they might need a renal doctor, they might have an ophthalmology consult doctor, they might have cardiology. You know, they have all those people on board, plus PT, OT, RT is on board. Then you have the monitors who's watching their cardiac rhythms, calling you. Then you also have all these things going on. So there's a lot to one patient, and then times that by 3 or times that by 4, it can drastically change your workload for the day. So I kind of knew I didn't want to do bedside forever. I just thought whenever I felt like I've had enough of bedside, I could do like case management or transition. Because, you know, once you're a nurse, ideally the thought is there's so many different specialties. You can then cross-train to any of them. It's not that simple though, but theoretically that's what you should be able to do. Or you can even do travel nursing and get paid more. So anyways, so before this, I just kind of knew, and before I even got this job, I knew I didn't want to stay in bedside for too long. It just really wasn't all that I anticipated it to be. And quite frankly, I have been at the bedside, even if not as a nurse, I was at the bedside as a CNA for a couple of years before becoming a nurse. So really 2012, 2013, I want to say. And I'm tired. And I felt bad because there's a lot of nurses who have been in nursing as long as I've been alive, and I'm 30. So I kind of felt guilty, like, why am I trying to not do this anymore? But I already had that feeling or thought in my head, but I really wasn't sure where I wanted to go. So just kind of keep that in mind. So when it comes down to what was it like being a nurse and working in the pandemic, February 2020, me and my coworker already had this trip planned to go internationally, and our other friend that we worked with, he was already international on his own trip. So we were going to go for her birthday, meet him in the middle of our trip, and continue our trip, and then come back home. So I feel like if you've had too many good shifts in a row, you're bound to have one that's just gonna rock your world. Like if I know if I have too many good shifts in a row, I'm like, I know there's gonna be a rocky shift coming my way because I've had too many smooth sailings in a row. I know, and it's always true. It always happens. So we get back, and I remember having like really one of the worst shifts ever. One of the worst. I've had a pretty bad shift as a CNA. Kind of funny. Oh yeah, because I worked at an LTAC too. So anyways, I had a really bad shift. I was crying all shift. And I'm like, please, I just don't want any of my coworkers to ask me what's wrong. I don't want to talk about it. Just let me cry and chart in this corner. Like, please. It was just really tough. You know, one of my patients was higher acuity and blah, 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 blah. And I just remember just kind of feeling like, I don't want to keep doing this. Like, I don't want to be so stressed out. I don't want to keep doing this. And this was before the pandemic really, really showed up and showed out in the US. So this was before that. About a couple of weeks before that. So I had a really bad shift, and the next I know, everything is changing. And so this is my experience being a nurse in the pandemic. Keep in mind, I stopped working bedside December 2020. That's been happening as of 2021 as a nurse in a pandemic, and it ramping back up again. I do talk to some of my nursing friends, and they have said like it's way worse than the first time, and I can see why. Just keep that in mind. So pandemic hits. And I remember, you know, we have huddles in the beginning of our shift. So you get there early. There's like a floor wide huddle. So like if there's any like patient that might need an extra eye on, you know, like if they keep getting out of bed, or if there's a family member that, you know, wants certain things, anything, just general updates or whatever. And I can give you the tea later, but that's what huddles are for, just so everyone can be on the same page, no matter if that's your patient or not, or if it is your patient, then you kind of have a leg up and kind of figure out what to do or what's going on. So our huddle was normal, and I worked day shift, so I don't get off until 7, you know. So I remember I kind of felt like the director or the charge nurse or somebody got a call or something. Something was happening at 4 p.m. and at 4, they were just like, okay, whoever's not getting discharged, we need to move them to another room in the hospital. And if they are getting discharged, we need to like not delay it. We need to try to make it happen as soon as possible because they're closing down our unit. So the unit I got hired on is being shut down. So this is right at the beginning of the pandemic where they weren't doing elective surgeries anymore. People were being furloughed. That, you know, my hospital was trying not to use agency anymore. Major change was happening in the middle of not knowing what's going on with this virus. Do all of this, and then I just go home, and it's like, we'll let you know what floor you're floating to when it's time for you to work. Bruh. And at this time, you could either be working at the main campus or you could float to a totally different campus. So it's kind of like you were being a travel float nurse, but you're not getting that compensation. You're not getting hazardous pay. You're not getting that compensation. It's like you don't know if you're going to show up to work and they're going to have enough PPE for you. That made me feel like, dang, like, if they don't have enough PPE, like, am I just going to take my patients and do it anyway? Or is this the day that I walk out? Very, like, uncertainty. It was adding more stress, and I was already stressed before. Clinical director that I love that actually took her, and now she was like the clinical director over the ICU unit, and the people that I got hired on with were leaving because their plan was always to either get into ICU or do these other things. It wasn't to stay on this floor. So they all moved on, and I'm just thinking, I don't really love my job anymore because now we're always short. Now it's like your patients may be critical. Now you don't know if ER is going to do a COVID swab before they send them up to you and to put them on extra isolation or not. And I thought, other people are moving on. Like, I'm not really happy doing this. I became per diem during this time, which was the smartest decision ever. If you ever had the chance to do per diem, get that extra pay, work when you want, pick up extra when you want, and just pay for your insurance out of pocket if you can, and just call it a day, period. But yeah, so I wasn't enjoying bedside, and that's been the case for at least a couple of years, you know. I was under a lot of stress. I realized how stressed I was until I stopped working at bedside altogether. But I was already feeling that before the pandemic, and the pandemic just made it worse because now I'm worried about just real life stuff, and I'm also faced with it as a nurse. So honey, I was spent. I was spent. But yeah, so it was very stressful working during the pandemic as a nurse. Like I kind of always felt that way. Just kind of felt like another body, like, you know, and because there were some days you wouldn't get breaks, or some days you'd be so busy you can't afford to get a break because, you know, a patient needs you, or you're short, so you're running and ripping and raving. And, you know, I had to deal with rude ass doctors who had an attitude with me or try to embarrass me on something, and I had to get them together. You know, it's definitely not stress free when you have people's lives in your hand. I don't know, I take that seriously. As a nurse, you wear so many different hats, you know, to be there for your patients. So when the pandemic started, it just made everything worse. Oh no. Like, if anything, 2020 just showed me, like, anything can happen, which also meant, like, try to live your life to your fullest. Not reckless, not, like, with a disregard to anyone else's life, but enjoy the most you can out of life. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to see if there's anything I could do as a nurse. Always interested in other areas of nursing. So I was open to transitioning on. I didn't want to stay in ICU step down or progressive care unit, really. So it just made it worse, and I was just really stressed out. So I did not enjoy it. Now I hear that it's a lot worse, especially because with vaccines. I do understand vaccine hesitation because I was scared. Like, and I'm not anti-vax or anything like that, but I was like hesitant and a little weary about it. It just felt like too much was happening at once, and I just wanted to, like, whoa, like, slow down. Went ahead and got the vaccine. I have peace of mind. I'm calm about it. Nothing weird has happened. I just accepted it because who knows, I could get COVID and maybe that might cause more havoc in my body than the vaccine would, or vice versa. I don't know, but I got it. I'm happy that I got it. And yeah, so that's how I feel about that. And either way, you know, I have no problem with wearing masks. I've had to wear an N95 for 12 hours straight, so I feel like wearing a mask to the store for my safety and other people's safety is not a major inconvenience. Is it always fun? No, but life isn't always fun. For me, I'm planning to wear a mask pretty much every, like, flu season. Because first off, when it gets cold, it, like, protects me, like, it keeps me warm, my lips aren't chapped, and it's not that big of a deal for me. The new nurses out there, if you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, What did I get myself into? Should I be doing this? Are you a little worried? I think, you know, nursing before or during the pandemic, I don't think anyone could fully prepare you for nursing. I think my idea of what a nurse does and actually doing that day in and day out was pretty different. And I didn't know about a saying like nurses eat their young until I got into nursing school. And I did experience that in my first nursing job. So I can make that into a story time too. But I would say for your new nurses out there, just make sure you prioritize your well-being. Do not feel bad. Do not feel guilty. Like, take your breaks. Whether you think you need one or not, take your breaks. Have one of your nurses cover your patients and then return the favor for their break, but take your break. You can't do that type of work and that type of care and be under that type of stress and not take care of yourself first. Your self-care has to come first. And that's what kind of helped me get through the pandemic that I did work in. Like, I would meditate before work. Like, I would get there early so I'm not rushed and I get a good parking spot. Just make sure you take care of yourself. That's the way you're going to get through nursing and provide the best patient care you can and keep your sanity and actually enjoy it, is if you take care of yourself. If you let this job, workplace just take over your well-being, you will hate it. So please take care of yourself, you know, and communicate that with your friends and family, because I don't think anyone understands what it's like to be a nurse until you are a nurse. You do not understand. And this is just my experience. If you're a nurse, share your experience in the pandemic as well. So I'd like to see, you know, what is your thoughts about how everything's been going on. So leave your comments down below. But that was just my experience up until December 2020, and now I work from home, which I have had so much less stress. And it's okay to stand up for yourself. You kind of need to in nursing, especially dealing with doctors who might be self-entitled, or even other peers, CNAs, nurses who, I don't know if there's a power struggle, anything. You do want to stick up for yourself and take care of yourself. Those are your two top priorities before anything else. That was my experience as a nurse in the pandemic. It was just crazy. It was hectic. It was stressful. And I had a lot of guilt around leaving the bedside, but honestly, it was one of the best decisions I made. And I know people who love the bedside, who love that. Just make sure you put yourself as top priority, and it will make your nursing experience 10 times better. Versus you not doing that. If you want to hear any of my nursing story, my nursing journey, how was it like in nursing school? Because girl, I was stressed in nursing school. Nursing school is not no joke. Nursing school is rigorous. So the fact that you're in nursing school and that you're going to get through it and pass your NCLEX, like, that is an accomplishment in itself. Like, you should be proud of yourself. So, because Lord knows I've had some breakdowns as a nursing student. Now, any additional questions, it could be about locks, it could be about nursing even. Maybe I'll make it into a nursing series if there's enough questions. Yeah, just leave your comments down below. And if you are a nurse or know a nurse, share your experience as well down below. And let me know, as a nurse, like, what do you think would be the most helpful for you at this time? Like, you know how like some hospitals want to make it like a better environment for nurses, or do things to have a better retention rate for the nurses? What do you think would actually help? Like, when people ask me this one, I don't know. I feel like I don't want as many patients per nurse. You know, I want to take my breaks. I want a longer break. You know, I want those certain things to help my shifts out. And those kind of things never get done. But is there anything else that we could do? Like, would you need like I know some facilities have like a room where you can go and kind of like decompress. And honestly, I think every floor needs that, especially me. I would battle from migraines pretty bad. I would have migraines. When I worked night shift, my migraines were like 3 times a week, 4 times a week sometimes. And I had migraines pretty bad. And I think if I had like a chill corner, just like, here, take my phone, take my paper, I just need to like be in there for 15-20 minutes in addition to my 30-minute lunch. Like, I need that to decompress. I think I would have fared out a little bit better. But yeah, let me know what would help you. I would love to know. I'd love to hear it too. See if there's anything I can do to kind of help nursing environment to be better. Even though I'm not in that environment, I still want to help my fellow nurses out. Yeah, guys, that was my video. Sorry, it might have been a ramble, but that was my experience working as a nurse during the pandemic. And yeah, so I am going to answer some of those other questions as well, probably in another video. But if you have any, leave them down below. And thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, peace.